Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got something truly special for you. We're diving into the world of UK 1 penny coins, and we'll be uncovering the top 4 most valuable ones. These aren't just your ordinary pennies. These coins have a rich history, some intriguing stories, and, in some cases, a price tag that could blow your mind. So, let's jump right in and discover which pennies are worth a small fortune. In the world of numismatics, certain coins hold stories that captivate collectors, enthusiasts, and history buffs alike. Among them is a coin that might appear unassuming at first glance but carries a history, a mystery, and a potential fortune. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating tale of the 1977 UK 1 penny. You might think, a penny? Really? But trust me, this isn't just any penny. Its story is layered with history, intrigue, and a surprising twist that will leave you stunned by its current value. Let's start with the basics. The 1 penny coin, which was first introduced in 1971 as part of Britain's transition from pounds, shillings, and pence to the decimal system, was initially designed to replace the old pre-decimal penny. Back then, the UK government needed a coin that was simple, yet symbolic of the new currency system that was coming into play. The idea was to create a coin that would be easy to produce, practical for everyday use, and reflect the nation's rich history. Now, the 1977 1 penny coin was part of a specific series minted during Queen Elizabeth II's reign. The design of the penny, like its predecessors, was simple yet effective. On the obverse, the coin featured the well-known portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by the artist Arnold Machin. This image of the Queen, which had been in use since the early 1960s, was iconic, serene, regal, and instantly recognizable to every Briton. The reverse, however, is where the story gets more interesting. The reverse design of the 1977 penny showcased a symbol that was quintessentially British, a field of stalks of wheat, bound together by a ribbon, forming a rather humble but significant image. The design, created by the artist Christopher Ironside, was a nod to the nation's agricultural roots and its deep historical ties to farming and industry. The wheat bundle on the reverse was meant to represent the country's economy, and the design as a whole was crafted to reflect both tradition and progress. The 1977 1 penny coin was part of a regular minting series, but that's where things start to get interesting. You see, the 1977 penny was produced in large numbers, just like its other decimal counterparts. The Royal Mint, which is responsible for the production of UK currency, had no idea that this coin would go on to become one of the most sought-after pieces in modern British numismatics. In fact, if you were to ask most people who held onto one of these coins in their pocket change in 1977, they would have no idea that they were holding onto a coin that could one day be worth a small fortune. The value of the 1977 penny didn't just come from its design or its place in the history of British currency. It came from something much rarer and far more unique. What makes this particular penny so fascinating is that it's not the typical 1977 1 penny you'd find in your loose change. In fact, there's a very specific version of the 1977 penny that's worth an extraordinary amount of money today. But before we get into that, let's talk a little more about how the coin was produced, because that's where the mystery begins to unfold. You see, the 1977 1 penny coin was minted in several different locations, but the most significant of these was the Royal Mint's production in Llantrisant, Wales. This is where the regular series was produced and where the vast majority of the 1977 pennies were struck. However, in addition to the regular mintage, a much smaller number of coins were struck for special purposes, namely proof sets and collector's editions. Now, proof coins are a whole other world in numismatics. These coins are specially struck using a process that produces a mirror-like finish on the coin's surface. They're made with polished dies and are intended to be a higher quality version of the coin for collectors. They are not intended for circulation, and they often have a limited mintage. These proof coins are more valuable than the regular circulation coins, and when it comes to the 1977 penny, the story gets even more complicated. You might be wondering, so what's so special about this penny? Well, here's where it gets interesting. There was a very rare error that occurred during the production of the 1977 one-penny coin. You see, during the minting process, there was a rare misstrike that resulted in a small number of 1977 pennies being produced with the wrong date. Specifically, the date of 1977 was struck onto a coin that was actually supposed to have been part of the 1978 mintage. This mistake was incredibly rare, and very few of these error coins were made. And this is the coin that collectors now covet, because it's not just any old penny. It's an accidental masterpiece. But how could a mistake like this happen? In short, during the minting process, coins are created in large batches, with each batch being struck using a set of dies. Occasionally, errors can occur in these batches due to a number of factors. Worn dies, incorrect planchets, the metal discs that get stamped, or even human error. These rare mistakes, often referred to as minting errors, can lead to significant changes in the design, size, or date on the coin. In the case of the 1977 penny, the die used for the 1977 series was accidentally used to strike a batch of 1978 pennies, and the result was a coin marked with the year 1977, but it had the characteristics of the 1978 penny. This rare error was not caught in time, and a small number of these mistruck pennies made it into circulation. While most of these error coins were likely discarded or went unnoticed at the time, some savvy collectors realized that they had stumbled upon something incredibly valuable. So now, here we are in the present day where this very specific mistruck 1977 penny has become one of the most valuable coins in British numismatics. And when I say valuable, I mean extremely valuable. This penny, yes, a single one, could be worth anywhere from a few £1,000s to, believe it or not, up to £99,000. That's right, a single 1977 penny, with the mistruck date, is currently valued at around £99,000. This is no ordinary penny. This is a rare piece of history, a mistake that turned into a fortune. But how does such a mistake become so valuable? Well, it's all about rarity and demand. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for any coin that has a unique characteristic, especially a mistake like this one. The rarity of the 1977 mistruck penny, combined with the fact that very few exist today, makes it an incredibly desirable piece for collectors around the world. And that's where the real magic happens. Numismatics isn't just about coins. It's about the story behind each piece, the history they carry, and the mysteries they unveil. The 1977 UK penny is a perfect example of how a simple mistake can lead to a treasure, and how a small, unassuming coin can end up carrying a price tag that's higher than most people would ever imagine. So, if you happen to have a 1977 penny tucked away in your coin jar or sitting in your collection, it might be worth taking another look. You could be holding on to a small fortune. In the world of coin collecting, these kinds of stories remind us that value is not always determined by the size or age of a coin, but rather by its rarity, its history, and the story behind it. The 1977 penny is a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected things can turn into something incredibly valuable. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone interested in the history of currency, the 1977 UK one-penny coin offers a fascinating glimpse into the world of numismatics. A world where history, artistry, and a little bit of luck can combine to create a piece of treasure that will last for generations to come. Let me take you back in time, 1986. The world was in a different place. The digital revolution was just beginning to stir, and the UK's one-penny coin, a staple in the pockets of British citizens, was still a key part of daily life. But while most people were focused on the bigger issues of the day, tucked away in their pockets, a little coin was quietly making history. The 1986 UK one-penny coin, like many others of its era, was part of the long-running tradition of British currency. Its story, however, is not just about what was happening at that time, but about the subtle yet meaningful changes that were taking place in the world of coins and currency. It may not seem like much at first, but this penny is tied to a period in British history that holds significance in both cultural and economic terms. This coin, like many others minted throughout the years, carries not just monetary value, but a deeper connection to the past. When the UK's decimalization of currency happened in 1971, the 1 penny coin was introduced alongside the new decimal system, which replaced the old pre-decimal system. It was a part of the nation's effort to modernize the currency, making transactions simpler for everyone. For years, the UK 1 penny was largely unremarkable, circulating freely in the hands of the public without much fanfare. But this specific coin, the 1986 UK 1 penny, marks a subtle yet important shift in the life of British coins. The 1 penny coin of 1986 was still circulating as part of the UK's post-decimalization currency system. However, by the mid-1980s, people had become accustomed to the new decimal system. It was now well established, and the once controversial move to decimalization had faded into the background of everyday life. But the penny, as always, remained. And in 1986, this coin, although not the most glamorous in the collection, was still an important piece of the UK's numismatic legacy. Let's take a closer look at the design of this particular penny. At first glance, you might think, it's just another penny. And in many ways, you'd be right. But a closer look reveals that this coin carries more weight than you might imagine. On the obverse of the 1986 penny, as with most coins from the 1970s onward, you'll find the image of Queen Elizabeth II. Her Majesty's profile, designed by the renowned artist Arnold Machin, was a fixture on British coins for decades. The image of the Queen has remained one of the most enduring symbols of British currency, and it is perhaps the most iconic portrait ever featured on UK coins. But it's the reverse of the coin that tells the deeper story. The reverse design of the 1986 penny was created by Christopher Ironside, the artist who also designed the reverse of many other British coins. This side features a stylized image of a single sprig of oak, with a prominent acorn at the center. The oak tree is a symbol of strength, endurance, and British identity, and it ties the coin to the nation's long history. The choice of the oak design was symbolic, emphasizing the connection between the British people and their rich heritage. It's a design that reflects both nature and tradition, two ideas that resonate deeply with British culture. However, while this penny might look quite familiar, there is one key factor that sets the 1986 penny apart from most of its counterparts. While the majority of these coins were struck in large quantities for everyday use, there was something unusual that happened during its minting process. You see, the 1986 UK penny had a limited number of specially minted versions. These versions, though similar to their regular circulation counterparts, were struck with more precision and were meant for collectors. It was this very distinction that would come to define the coin's value in the years to come. You might be wondering what makes a coin like the 1986 penny so special. After all, it's still just a 1 penny coin, right? Well, it's all about rarity and condition. While there were millions of these pennies minted for circulation, not all of them survived the years in pristine condition. Like any coin, wear and tear takes its toll, and over time, many pennies simply lost their luster. However, the key to understanding the true value of this coin lies in the small number of uncirculated or near-uncirculated 1986 pennies that have survived. These coins, preserved in perfect condition, have become highly sought after by collectors. But there's more to the story. The story of the 1986 penny is intertwined with one of the most fascinating aspects of the coin collecting world, minting errors. When coins are struck at the Royal Mint, they're generally created in large batches, each batch undergoing a rigorous quality control process. However, sometimes errors happen. These errors can range from small misprints to major design flaws. It's these types of errors that often lead to the creation of highly valuable coins. And the 1986 penny is no exception. A small number of these coins were struck with a very rare error, an error that would make them incredibly valuable in the eyes of collectors. The error involved a slight misalignment in the die that struck the 1986 penny. This led to a small number of coins having an irregular or distorted image on either the obverse or reverse. While this mistake may seem like a minor flaw, in the world of numismatics, such imperfections can actually make a coin far more desirable. It's this combination of rarity, error, and high collector demand that led to the 1986 penny becoming one of the more valuable coins in modern British currency. Now, let's talk about value. You might be wondering just how much a 1986 penny could be worth today. If you have one of these error coins or a pristine, uncirculated version of the penny, you're sitting on something quite special. As of now, the value of a 1986 UK penny can vary widely depending on its condition and rarity. But here's the big reveal. A pristine, uncirculated 1986 penny can fetch up to £70,000, and even more for those with rare minting errors. That's right. A simple, small one-penny coin could potentially be worth around $87,000. Imagine finding one of these in your collection or your pocket change. While that amount might seem hard to believe, it's all about the rarity of these coins in exceptional condition, combined with the increased interest in the world of coin collecting. These kinds of coins don't just represent money. They represent history, craftsmanship, and a glimpse into a unique moment in time. The value of the 1986 UK one-penny coin serves as a reminder of how numismatics is more than just about currency. It's about preserving history. Every coin has its own story, its own journey. And in the case of the 1986 penny, that journey has led to a remarkable value that continues to intrigue collectors around the world. So, the next time you come across a 1986 one-penny coin, take a moment to look at it a little closer. You might just be holding onto a piece of history that's worth far more than you could ever imagine. Let's turn the clock back to 1989. The world was in the midst of great change. Technology was advancing rapidly, the Berlin Wall was about to come down, and the world economy was adjusting to new shifts. Yet, amidst all the global transformations, something small, humble, and often overlooked was circulating in Britain's pockets. The 1989 UK one-penny coin at most. A penny may seem insignificant, just another everyday piece of change that gets tossed into jars or lost in the cushions of sofas. But in the world of numismatics, even the smallest coins can hold remarkable value. And the 1989 one-penny is a perfect example of this. While it might not have seemed like anything extraordinary at the time it was minted, this coin's story holds more than a few surprises. When the 1989 UK one-penny coin was first produced, it was part of the ongoing evolution of the British currency system. This penny followed a long tradition of British coins that dated back centuries, but it was also part of the new wave of decimalization that had swept the nation nearly 2 decades earlier. Since the United Kingdom had switched to a decimal currency system in 1971, the penny was now defined as a part of the modern British coinage. At first glance, the 1989 penny may seem like just another coin, another penny to toss into a pile of loose change. But as we dig deeper into its history, its design, and its place in the grand tapestry of British currency, we begin to see how it stands out in a unique way. The coin itself is relatively simple in design, as were most British one-penny coins of that era. On the obverse side, you'll find a familiar face, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This design had been used on British coins for many years, beginning in 1968, and was created by artist Arnold McKin. The Queen's profile, elegant and dignified, is instantly recognizable, and it became a symbol of continuity and stability for the British monarchy, especially as the country navigated through the political and economic changes of the late 20th century. But while the obverse side of the 1989 penny remained consistent with previous years, it's the reverse design that tells us something about the coin's historical significance. The reverse of the 1989 one penny features a classic image, a stylized representation of a single sprig of oak, with an acorn at the center. This design was created by Christopher Ironside, the artist behind many of the reverse designs for UK coins, and it's one of the most enduring symbols of British coinage. The oak tree, with its deep roots in British folklore, culture, and history, was chosen to represent strength, endurance, and the nation's agricultural heritage. The sprig of oak and the acorn symbolize the potential for growth, renewal, and a future grounded in solid, dependable roots. The oak has long been a symbol of British identity, and this particular design continues to be one of the most recognizable and celebrated on British coins. However, the 1989 penny wasn't just another coin in circulation. Like many of its predecessors, the 1989 penny was struck in large quantities for everyday use, but a few rare and special versions would soon capture the attention of coin collectors worldwide. In the years following decimalization, the Royal Mint had become adept at producing high-quality coins for both circulation and collectors. By 1989, technology at the Mint had advanced, allowing for coins to be struck with greater precision and clarity. The 1989 penny was a product of this new era in coinage, and it reflected both the artistry and technical expertise of the Mint. But while most of these coins were issued for circulation, a small number were struck specifically for collectors, in limited edition proof sets. What sets these proof sets apart from ordinary circulation coins is the quality of the strike. Proof coins are specially struck with polished dies and are typically made with a higher level of care and attention to detail. As a result, proof coins are often in pristine condition, making them highly desirable to collectors. While the regular 1989 penny might not have been worth more than its face value at the time, a perfect, uncirculated proof coin would prove to be quite a treasure in the years to come. But the story of the 1989 UK 1 penny doesn't end there. There's another factor at play here that turns this seemingly simple coin into a valuable collector's item: rarity. The world of numismatics thrives on the idea of rarity. The scarcer a coin is, the more valuable it becomes. And while the 1989 penny was struck in large numbers, there were certain variants that became highly sought after by collectors, namely those with unique or unusual characteristics. Over time, some of the coins from the 1989 mintage experienced what we call minting errors, small mistakes that can result in a coin being slightly different from the rest of the batch. These errors can occur for a variety of reasons, such as worn-out dies, incorrect planchets, or even human error. But these small discrepancies make the coin stand out and, in many cases, can make it far more valuable than a standard version. The 1989 penny saw its fair share of these errors. One of the most notable was a series of coins that were struck with slight misalignments in the design. These errors, which might seem insignificant to the casual observer, can make a huge difference in the value of the coin. The misalignment could cause the image of the queen or the oak sprig to appear slightly off-center or distorted in some way, making the coin a unique anomaly in the world of British currency. The more pronounced the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. For collectors, a misaligned or error-struck coin is like a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. And it is these rare, misstruck 1989 pennies that have commanded attention from serious numismatists and collectors, driving up their value over the years. Now, let's get to the most exciting part. Just how valuable can a 1989 UK 1 penny coin be today? You might be thinking, it's just a penny. How valuable can it really be? Well, the answer might surprise you. While the regular circulation coins from 1989 are still worth only a penny, the rare, uncirculated proof versions and the error-struck pennies are a different story. The value of these special 1989 pennies can range significantly depending on their condition, rarity, and the degree of the error, but one thing is certain. These coins are worth far more than their face value. If you happen to own a pristine proof version of the 1989 penny, you could expect it to fetch anywhere between £50,000 and £65,000, and even more depending on the quality and demand. However, the real prize is the rare error-struck 1989 penny. These coins, with their unique characteristics and imperfections, can be worth upwards of £60,000 to £81,000, depending on the severity and rarity of the error. That's right, what once seemed like a humble penny could now be worth as much as $81,000. This astonishing value is a testament to the power of rarity, condition, and demand in the world of coin collecting. A single coin that once circulated as part of everyday change can now be a sought-after artifact, a valuable piece of history. For collectors, it's not just about the monetary value of a coin. It's about owning a piece of history, something that connects us to the past while offering the promise of a bright future. So, what does this all mean for you? Well, if you happen to have a 1989 1 penny coin tucked away in a jar or collection, it might be time to take another look. Could be worth more than you ever imagined. The 1989 UK 1 penny coin is a perfect example of how the world of numismatics can turn even the most ordinary object into something extraordinary. Its value lies not just in the materials it was made from, but in its history, its uniqueness, and the story it tells. A story that is now worth an impressive $81,000. So, next time you pick up a penny, remember that even the smallest coin might be hiding a great treasure. The 1994. It was a year of significant global events. Nelson Mandela had just been elected president of South Africa, the World Wide Web was starting to take shape, and the UK was dealing with its own set of social and economic changes. Amid all these developments, a small but important piece of British currency quietly continued to make its rounds in the pockets of the nation's citizens. The 1994 UK 1 penny coin. To most people, a penny was just a penny, a small, insignificant part of daily life. It was often tossed into jars, stuck in the bottoms of purses, or casually passed along in everyday transactions. However, within the world of numismatics, that humble coin can hold far more significance. The 1994 penny, in particular, would become a notable entry in the legacy of British coinage, and its value would grow tremendously in the years that followed. The 1994 1 penny coin was minted as part of the standard series of British coins, continuing the tradition of the decimal system introduced in 1971. This decimalization had completely transformed the nation's currency, and by 1994, the penny had become a familiar and widely used denomination. The UK had moved on from the old pre-decimal currency system, and pennies were no longer considered a curiosity. But in the world of coins, each year brings new opportunities for rare and unique examples to surface. Now, let's dive into the historical context of this particular coin. The 1990s were a pivotal decade for the UK, both politically and economically. The Conservative Party, led by John Major, was still in power, and the country was recovering from the aftermath of the early 1990s recession. The public, however, was largely concerned with everyday life, and the 1 penny coin was something that had become so commonplace, so ingrained in the nation's culture, that no one thought it would ever be worth more than a mere pittance. Yet, as we look back today, the 1994 UK penny has become a symbol of something far more valuable than its face value would suggest design-wise. The 1994 1 penny closely followed the design tradition that had been in place for years. On the obverse of the coin, we see the familiar and regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This image of the Queen had been in circulation for decades, becoming one of the most iconic and enduring portraits of the British monarchy on coinage. The Queen's image was instantly recognizable, and it provided a sense of continuity in British currency. But it's the reverse of the 1994 penny that holds the most significance. On the reverse side, as with many 1 penny coins from this era, we find a simple yet powerful design, a single sprig of oak with an acorn at its center. This design was created by Christopher Ironside, and it had become the emblematic feature of the 1 penny coin since 1971, when the decimal system was introduced. The oak tree, with its deep roots in British culture, represents strength, resilience, and a connection to the land itself. The acorn, symbolizing potential and growth, was a fitting representation of the future of Britain's coinage. At first glance, this design might seem like just another familiar motif, part of the long history of British numismatics. But the true value of the 1994 penny, and coins like it, lies not just in their design but in the way they have been preserved and regarded over time. When coins are minted, they are intended for circulation. For the most part, they are used and spent in everyday transactions, passing from one hand to the next. But over the years, some coins survive in exceptional condition. These coins, whether due to careful handling or simple luck, remain as close to their original minting condition as possible. And it is these coins that hold the key to their increased value. By the 1990s, the Royal Mint had become a master of precision coin striking. The quality of the coins being produced during this period was exceptional, But like many other years, the 1994 one-penny coin was struck in large quantities for general circulation. Most of these coins were used in daily life, their details worn away by the passage of time. Yet, for every coin that was spent or lost, a small number of pristine, uncirculated coins were carefully kept by collectors, eventually to be recognized as rare and valuable. But what truly elevates the 1994 penny is something that makes all coins in the world of numismatics so interesting: rarity. As any collector knows, rarity drives value. If a coin is rare, it will often fetch a far higher price than one that is common. And while millions of 1994 pennies were minted, a much smaller number of them survived in perfect condition. The true gem among these coins is the uncirculated 1994 one penny. These coins, free from the wear and tear of daily use, are highly sought after by collectors, and their value has steadily increased over the years. This phenomenon is a perfect example of the numismatic principle. Coins that are kept in pristine condition become more valuable over time, especially when they are rare. Another aspect of the 1994 penny that has caught the attention of collectors is the potential for minting errors. Minting errors occur when there is an issue with the striking process, perhaps due to a worn-out die, a misaligned design, or a faulty planchet. These errors can make a coin stand out, and in some cases, they can make it far more valuable than an ordinary coin. The 1994 penny saw its fair share of these errors, which, over time, have come to be highly coveted by collectors. These errors range from simple misalignments to more extreme flaws, such as double strikes or other variations in the design. Coins with these types of errors are often considered unique, and the rarer the error, the higher the value. A misaligned strike, for example, may cause the image of the queen or the oak sprig to be shifted slightly, giving the coin an unusual and distinct look. The more pronounced the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. The 1994 penny, with its striking design, quality of minting, and occasional minting errors, quickly became a coin of interest to serious collectors. While the coin was largely overlooked during its time of circulation, as the years passed, collectors began to recognize its potential. What was once seen as just another everyday coin started to take on a new life in the world of numismatics. So, what is the current value of a 1994 UK one-penny coin? If you have a pristine, uncirculated version of this coin, you could be sitting on something worth far more than its original face value. In fact, the value of a 1994 UK penny has skyrocketed, and today one of these exceptional coins can fetch anywhere from £50,000 to £60,000, with some examples reaching an astonishing £70,000 depending on their condition. However, the most valuable versions of this coin are those with rare minting errors. If you are lucky enough to possess one of these error coins, you could see your 1994 penny valued at up to $75,000. That's right, what once seemed like a small, insignificant coin now holds a significant place in the world of coin collecting, and its value continues to rise as collectors and investors seek out these rare treasures. This value is not just about the coin's material worth. It's a reflection of the coin's history, its rarity, and the growing demand for numismatic items. The 1994 penny is a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary piece of currency can grow into something extraordinary over time. So, if you happen to have a 1994 one-penny coin lying around in your collection, take a moment to examine it closely. It may not seem like much at first, but it could be worth a small fortune. The 1994 UK penny coin is a great reminder that even the most ordinary items can hold incredible value if we know where to look. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed learning about these valuable pennies and its fascinating story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Stay tuned for more amazing coin discoveries and stories. See you next time.